Thank you very much, Keith. So decent and respectable looking, but so radical. Another round of applause for Keith. Before I move on to my final speaker, I wanted to invite Arthur Torrington, to come and speak to us. His organisations, the Windrush Foundation and the Equiana Society, are among the supporters of this event, which made it possible for us to meet today. The round of applause. The Windrush Foundation publicised the history and contributions of the Windrush men women who settled in Britain from 1948 onwards, and the Equiana Society publicises the life and work of Olaudah Equiana, a former enslaved African able seaman and abolitionist who lived in 18th century London. Arthur, come on.
Okay, thank you very much, Diane. Windrush Foundation was set up about 16 years ago, but Windrush has been here since 1948. Now, I work, as some of you know, with Sam King, who really is the father of Windrush. Sam kept the names of dozens of Windrush people and would send them postcards every year. But every year, the actual numbers go down. And there are only very few now. Every Windrush person today is in their 80s. Sam King is 87. And he's still going because we're working together all the time. Now, Windrush Foundation is the body that really highlights the contribution of the men and women who came and laid the foundation for you and me. That's a fact. I've done the study. They've laid the foundation in the sense that they bore the brunt of racism, but they fought against it. They fought against it physically, mentally, and everything. I mean, I have records of lots of fighting. In fact, they were fighting even before the Windrush ship came. They were fighting during the war. Instead of fighting the Germans, they were fighting a lot of people who felt that they shouldn't dance with white people or go to parties and stuff. So in that sense, these people laid the foundation for us. Now, it's important for us to realize also that they served in the war, right? They fought against Hitler, and they served gallantly. And then they came back on the ship. This was the first wave of Caribbean people coming into the country. The first wave, in the sense that Britain has always been a multi-ethnic society, not the word, but not multicultural. Right? That's the difference. Multicultural in the sense of celebrating culture. Before 1948, it was a monoculture. And that's why there were so many fights in the 1950s, right? The Notting Hill riots, just because of a particular set of people who wanted to celebrate their own culture. But then, you know, again, the Windrush generation fought against the Teddy Boys and beat them to bits. I got the record. Now, this year, Windrush is celebrating 65 years, like I said, and 65 years is a long time. It's a great, I should say, a great achievement in the sense that these men and women who are still around, right, they've done their bit and they're still doing things. I mean, Sam King, I'm sure he's going to be on the radio and television a few times this month. And this month is 65 years. Now, it's a journey. It was a journey in terms of laying the foundation in all respects, because this thing about the black child is not something new in 2013. It was happening way back when the Windrush men came. Their own children, you know, had problems. I'm speaking to a gentleman by the name of Alan Wilmot, and his child was the only black child in the school where they lived in Gypsy Hill. It's a complete reverse now, because the white kids are in the minority. And that's how things have been changing. So the black child, in terms of education, it's not been easy in that sense. But listen to this. When the ancestors left the plantation in 1838, very few of them could read and write. Possibly just 2%, 1%, right? And it's been a long journey in terms of moving on. Now, Windrush Foundation is also doing a project called Emancipation 1838. It's a thing in your pack. And Emancipation 1838 looks at the journey of the ancestors from 1838 to now. The children, especially, in those days the children didn't go to school. I mean, they had to go and work. That was how it was in 1838 and after. And by the way, up until 1938, the situation in the Caribbean was almost like 1838. They hadn't moved on. The amount of racism in the Caribbean at the time and control of the black population was such that there was little progress. 1938 was a big change when the Moyne Commission went to the Caribbean and recommended things like trade unions. It was banned up until 1938, right? There was not a movement. And in fact, there were so many riots in the 1930s. Riots everywhere, Guyana, Trinidad, Barbados, Jamaica. There was enough. Enough that the ancestors and the people there at the time could not, stand anymore. So that the journey in education really is a tough journey and it goes on, right? It's not been easy and it wouldn't be easy. But like Keith said just now, the last speaker, we must take the situation ourselves in our hands and do a great deal. So, and finally, I'd say to you that this year we're commemorating, those of you who can remember, 175 years since the ancestors left the plantation. That's a long time as well. And that's a time when I would say that although there was freedom, it was partial freedom. The only time that things began to change in terms of feeling free is independence. In 1961 for Jamaica and onwards. So the black community has endured a great deal. And of course I'm speaking biasly, I suppose, because I'm African Caribbean. But those of us, who have that sort of background, whose ancestors came, were taken from Africa to the Caribbean, we've had a hard struggle. And we're still continuing. So therefore, I say to you, keep the fight. Keep the fight and fight on. Thank you very much.